The financial situation in America is looking shaky, with some states drowning in massive debt. Did you know that some states owe billions of dollars, leaving taxpayers to shoulder a heavy burden? While no U.S. state can declare bankruptcy because federal laws prevent it, a few are dangerously close to financial collapse. Experts warn that if action isn't taken soon, the effects could be devastating for the people living there. What's causing all this financial chaos? Welcome to our look at the top 10 states on the verge of bankruptcy. From poor money management to rising unemployment, these states are dealing with financial problems so serious they make a big credit card bill seem minor. But don't lose hope just yet. Many states are working on plans to fix their budgets and improve their economies. Will these efforts succeed? Only time will tell. Curious to learn which states are struggling the most and why? Stick with us as we uncover the reasons behind their financial troubles. This is a story about economics, resilience, and what might come next. Let's dive in. Number 10, Alaska. Alaska's economy is heavily dependent on oil, much like a one-hit wonder relying on its biggest success. For decades, oil revenues have been the backbone of Alaska's budget, making up over 80% of its general fund. However, with oil prices going up and down and the world shifting toward renewable energy, this reliance feels risky and unsustainable. Right now, Alaska is facing a budget shortfall of about $600 million for the fiscal year, and things aren't looking great. One big issue is the state's permanent fund dividend, an annual payment to residents funded by oil money. It's a popular program, but it has become a heated debate. Reducing the permanent fund dividend could help balance the budget, but it makes many people angry. Keeping the permanent fund dividend, on the other hand, means using up the state's savings. It's a tough choice, leaving Alaska stuck between a rock and a hard place. Unemployment in Alaska, at about 4.6%, adds to the trouble. Since the economy depends so much on oil, any problems in that industry ripple through the state. Jobs are limited, and efforts to bring in new industries have been slow to take off. Meanwhile, taxpayers are left to carry the weight of rising government debt. Some experts compare Alaska's reliance on oil to depending on lottery winnings to pay your bills. It's great when it works, but a disaster when it doesn't. If Alaska doesn't take strong steps to diversify its economy and manage its finances better, the state could face serious economic trouble. It's like a boat with a leak. It might stay afloat for a while, but without fixing the problem, it's bound to sink. Will Alaska find a way to steady its finances, or is it heading toward a financial disaster? For now, the only way forward is smarter money management and finding new ways to grow its economy. Number 9, West Virginia. West Virginia's financial situation feels like an old coal mine, once booming, but now struggling to adapt to a changing world. The state has faced tough economic times, and with falling tax revenues, policymakers are scrambling to find solutions. For years, coal was the backbone of West Virginia's economy. However, as clean energy grows and environmental policies shift, coal has become more of a problem than a solution. Since 2008, coal production has dropped by over 40%, taking a big chunk of the state's economy with it. Tax revenues are also falling, with a 4.2% decrease reported in 2023. The outlook for 2024 doesn't look much better. With fewer industries contributing to state funds, taxpayers are feeling the pressure, and balancing the budget is becoming harder. The state's unemployment rate, at about 5.5%, is one of the highest in the country, adding to its financial troubles. Public finance experts warn that without new industries and better financial planning, West Virginia could face long-term instability. West Virginia has tried to attract new businesses, but progress has been slow, like waiting for an old coal train to compete in a high-speed rail world. Meanwhile, essential services like education and healthcare are under strain, raising concerns about whether the state can invest in its future. Despite these challenges, there's still hope. By reallocating government spending and focusing on industries like tourism and renewable energy, West Virginia could stabilize its economy. However, time is critical. Without quick action, the state's financial problems might deepen, much like one of its Appalachian valleys. The big question is whether West Virginia can climb out of this economic hole, or if it will keep sliding further down. Only time will tell. Number 8, Louisiana. Louisiana's financial situation is a bit like a gumbo with too many ingredients but not enough balance. The state relies heavily on oil revenues, which can be a blessing when prices are high, but a curse when they drop. Oil and gas contribute about 15% of Louisiana's GDP and play a major role in its tax revenue. This heavy dependence makes the economy sensitive to global energy market changes. When oil prices dip, like in 2020 and 2023, the state is left scrambling to cover multi-million-dollar budget gaps. For the 2024 fiscal year, Louisiana is staring at a $300 million budget shortfall. A tough spot for a state already dealing with high poverty rates, about 17.7% of its population, and deteriorating infrastructure. Tax revenue outside of oil-related industries has been sluggish, adding to the financial strain. On top of that, Louisiana is burdened with rising pension costs and growing government debt. One of the biggest concerns is the state's heavy reliance on the oil industry. Public finance experts often warn against depending too much on one source of income. Yet Louisiana's economy seems to be built around crude oil. Efforts to diversify the economy have shown some promise, with investments in tourism, manufacturing, and renewable energy. However, progress has been slow, and the state is struggling to keep up. Budget challenges have forced Louisiana to make tough cuts to government spending, often hitting education and healthcare the hardest. It's like trying to keep a Mardi Gras parade going with half a tank of gas. It's possible, but the journey won't be smooth. If Louisiana doesn't stabilize its revenue sources and manage its budget more wisely, its economy could continue to sink, much like the bayous during a heavy storm. The big question remains: can the Pelican State recover and thrive again, or will it remain stuck in financial trouble? The answer depends on how quickly and effectively the state can adapt to these challenges. Number 7, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is famous for its rich history and top-notch universities, but its finances are starting to feel like a tough test with no preparation. Rising healthcare costs and growing pension debt are hitting the state's budget hard, much like a brutal Boston winter. Healthcare alone has been taking a huge chunk of the budget. Over the last decade, Medicaid costs have increased by 8.5% each year, and in 2023, healthcare made up about 41% of the state's total spending. While Massachusetts is proud of its leadership in healthcare innovation and access, the cost of maintaining these standards is putting serious strain on its finances. Another major issue is the pension system. With more than $41 billion in unfunded liabilities, Massachusetts ranks as one of the states with the biggest pension problems. Experts warn that without reform, this debt could grow even worse, leaving taxpayers with a massive bill bigger than a Fenway Park hot dog on game day. Adding to the pressure are rising public program costs and government debt, making it feel like the state is walking a financial tightrope. Massachusetts does benefit from strong tax revenues, thanks to its thriving biotech and tech industries. However, even these aren't enough to cover the growing budget gaps. Despite these challenges, the state isn't in immediate financial danger. By controlling healthcare spending and reforming pensions, Massachusetts could regain control of its finances. For now, the Bay State may need to rely on its signature Boston grit and creativity to navigate these financial challenges. After all, even the best teams like the Red Sox have tough seasons. With the right steps, Massachusetts can bounce back and avoid letting these rising costs sink its fiscal future. Number 6, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's economy is often called the keystone of the nation, but its financial health is starting to show serious cracks. The state is grappling with a structural budget deficit and growing debt, raising concerns about its long-term stability. For fiscal year 2024, Pennsylvania faced a $1.4 billion budget shortfall, a bit like trying to fix a sinking ship with a patchwork solution. This deficit comes from rising government spending, flat revenues, and long-neglected financial obligations. Debt is another major issue, with the state carrying over $48 billion in outstanding obligations. For taxpayers, it's like being stuck with a mortgage on a mansion they didn't buy. The state's unfunded pension liabilities, estimated at $67 billion, are adding even more weight. Experts warn that if Pennsylvania doesn't reform its pension system soon, this debt could grow even larger, putting more pressure on the economy. While the unemployment rate sits at 4.2%, job growth has not been strong enough to significantly boost state revenues. To manage the shortfalls, state officials have resorted to budget cuts and borrowing, but these are short-term fixes. Without major changes to how the state handles its finances, especially in areas like education and healthcare spending, Pennsylvania's economy could struggle to remain competitive. The silver lining is Pennsylvania's diverse economy, which includes manufacturing, technology, and other key industries. This diversity offers hope, but fiscal responsibility needs to be a priority. Without it, the state could find itself stuck in a financial gridlock with no easy way out. For now, taxpayers are left wondering, how much longer can the state keep delaying meaningful reforms? It's a question worth considering as Pennsylvania faces mounting challenges. Will bold actions be taken, or will these problems continue to grow? Only time will tell if the Keystone State can rebuild its financial foundation. Number 5, Kentucky. Kentucky's finances are in rough shape, like a Kentucky Derby race where the jockey showed up without a horse. The state is facing two major problems: an underfunded pension system and ongoing budget shortfalls. Together, these challenges are putting a heavy strain on taxpayers and government leaders alike. Let's start with pensions. Kentucky's public pension system is one of the worst funded in the country, with about $33 billion in unfunded liabilities. It's like trying to fill a leaky bourbon barrel. It just keeps draining away. Experts warn that if reforms aren't made soon, the state could face serious long-term financial trouble. Currently, about 12% of Kentucky's budget is spent on pensions, leaving less money for important investments like education, infrastructure, and public services. On top of that, Kentucky has been dealing with consistent budget deficits. In the next fiscal year, the state is projected to face a $1.1 billion shortfall. This financial gap is partly due to declining revenues from coal and manufacturing, which have traditionally been the backbone of Kentucky's economy. Efforts to attract new industries like technology and healthcare are showing potential, but progress has been slow. For now, the state is stuck relying on outdated economic models that aren't keeping up with modern needs. Another challenge is the state's low workforce participation rate, which hovers around 57.5%. This means fewer people are working and paying income taxes, which limits revenue and puts extra pressure on state-funded programs. Without a stronger and more active workforce, it's hard for Kentucky to make up for its budget gaps. Despite these struggles, there are bright spots. Kentucky's bourbon industry is thriving, and the tourism sector continues to grow, providing a much-needed boost to the economy. However, these industries alone aren't enough to fix the state's financial problems. If Kentucky wants to remain competitive and secure its financial future, it needs to come up with a new strategy. Significant changes in how the state manages its pensions, budgets, and economic priorities are necessary. As it stands, Kentucky's financial race isn't looking like one it's set to win anytime soon. Number 4, Connecticut. Connecticut's financial problems are like its autumn leaves, colorful but warning of trouble ahead. The state is struggling with falling revenues and rising pension costs, creating a budget crisis that's tough to manage. Balancing the budget has become a major challenge. Let's talk about the numbers. Connecticut has one of the highest levels of debt per person in the country, at over $65,000 per resident. This is mostly due to $41 billion in unfunded pension obligations. Nearly 25% of the state's budget is used to pay off these pensions, leaving little money for other important areas like schools and infrastructure. Revenues aren't helping the situation. Connecticut's population has been shrinking as as more people leave the state than move in. This trend has reduced the number of taxpayers, contributing to a $1 billion revenue shortfall in recent years. At the same time, unemployment is around 4.4%, making it hard for the state to generate steady income in the sales tax revenue. Experts warn that Connecticut could fall into a damaging cycle. High taxes, introduced to cover budget gaps, could push even more residents and businesses to leave. This would shrink the tax base even further, making the problem worse. It's like trying to fix a roof while it's raining. The root problem needs to be solved to stop the leaks. The state has tried to address these issues by cutting pension benefits and suggesting new taxes, but political disagreements have slowed progress. Meanwhile, industries like finance and manufacturing, once Connecticut's strengths, have stalled, adding more pressure to the economy. Despite these challenges, Connecticut does have some advantages. Its location in the Northeast and a well-educated workforce give the state potential for recovery. However, without bold and effective actions, the financial problems could quickly get worse, like a snowstorm gaining strength in New England. For now, Connecticut's finances are moving at a crawl, and the state urgently needs a clear and effective plan to get back on track. Number 3, New Jersey. New Jersey's financial problems are like its traffic jams, frustrating and hard to fix. The state is dealing with high debt and underfunded pensions, which put constant pressure on its budget. Let's break it down. New Jersey has one of the highest debts per person in the U.S., with a staggering $65,100 owed for every resident. In total, the state's debt is close to $248 billion, including loans, bonds, and pension obligations. The pension system is in particularly bad shape. It's underfunded by about $45 billion and is only 39% funded, far below the recommended 80% for a healthy system. Where does all the money go? Almost 16% of New Jersey's annual budget is spent on debt payments and pensions. This leaves very little for other important programs like education or infrastructure. Adding to the problem, the state's revenue isn't growing as much as needed. A slow recovery from the pandemic hasn't helped, and New Jersey relies heavily on industries like finance and pharmaceuticals, which can be unstable during economic downturns. Meanwhile, taxpayers are feeling the pinch. New Jersey has the highest property taxes in the country, averaging over $9,500 a year. Efforts to fix these financial issues like pension reforms or raising taxes often get stuck in political arguments, slowing down any real progress. On the bright side, New Jersey's location gives it some advantages. It's close to major economic hubs like New York City and Philadelphia, which helps keep the state afloat. However, unless New Jersey finds a way to deal with its massive debt and pension problems, its financial health will remain in a tough spot. For now, the Garden State is stuck in a fiscal gridlock, waiting for a solution that could finally get things moving in the right direction. Number 2, California. California, often celebrated as the Golden State, has the 5th largest economy in the world. However, its financial reality is far from glamorous. Despite its economic power, California faces budget gaps and significant debt that threaten its fiscal health. As of 2024, California's total debt stands at an eye-popping $619 billion, including state and local government obligations. This amounts to about $155,000 per resident, placing a heavy burden on taxpayers. A large portion of this debt comes from underfunded public pensions, which are less than 70% funded, leaving billions in liabilities for future generations to tackle. Budget deficits add to the state's financial woes. In 2023, California experienced a $32 billion budget shortfall, a drastic shift from the surplus it enjoyed the previous year. This deficit is mainly due to declining revenues from the tech and real estate sectors, which have slowed down, while California collects significant taxes, including the highest state income tax rate of 13.3%. Its heavy reliance on high-income earners in volatile industries like tech makes its revenue streams unstable. When these industries thrive, the state benefits. When they falter, the impact is severe. California's spending habits also contribute to its fiscal struggles. Significant investments in social services, healthcare, and climate change initiatives stretch its budget even further. While these programs are important, they leave little room for flexibility. To make matters worse, the state faces ongoing challenges from natural disasters such as wildfires and droughts, adding unpredictable expenses and complicating budget planning. Despite these challenges, California's diverse economy offers some hope. With strong industries in technology, entertainment, and agriculture, the state has the potential to recover. However, proactive measures are necessary to stabilize its finances. Improving fiscal management and reducing reliance on fluctuating revenue sources will be key to securing a stable future. For now, California's financial story resembles a Hollywood drama, full of twists and turns, with both risk and opportunity. Whether the state can find its fiscal happy ending remains to be seen. Number 1, Illinois. Illinois' financial situation is like a never-ending soap opera, lots of drama, no real solutions. And everyone left wondering how things got so bad. The state is dealing with long-term budget deficits and a pension system that's underfunded, which has put Illinois in a tough financial spot. Both taxpayers and lawmakers are scrambling for answers. Illinois has a pension liability of over $140 billion, making it one of the worst-funded pension systems in the country. With just 46% of the funding it needs, it's far below the recommended 80%. The state's pension system is a major financial burden, with nearly 25% of the state's yearly budget going toward paying pensions and debt. That leaves very little for important services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. It's like pensions are taking up the whole pizza, and there's nothing left for the rest. Adding to the problem, Illinois faced a $1.4 billion budget shortfall in the 2024 fiscal year. This was caused by weak tax revenues and rising expenses. The state's debt doesn't make things any easier, standing at $10 billion, or about $166,000 for each person in the state. Many financial experts warn that Illinois serves as a warning for poor financial management, with years of overspending and relying on temporary fixes making things worse. Despite these challenges, Illinois still has a strong economy, with agriculture, manufacturing, and Chicago's financial sector driving growth. But the state's income and sales tax revenues are unpredictable, which makes it hard to achieve financial stability. To fix its financial problems, Illinois needs to make bold changes. This could include restructuring pensions and addressing the budget issues directly. Without these reforms, the state risks becoming a symbol of financial instability. For now, Illinois taxpayers might feel like they're caught in a financial thriller, tense and uncertain, hoping for a twist that could change things for the better. So, that's our list of the top 10 states facing bankruptcy right now. These financial struggles show how fragile economic stability can be, even for big, well-known states. Each one has its own challenges. What do you think? Were you surprised by any states on the list? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.